What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. Selfless Little Gaming here. It's that time of year. It's the big one. We're breaking down the Super Bowl and what we think is going to be the outcome. I am Selfless_Gaming. This is my co-host Little Jacob here. To my right or left, I don't know however you're viewing this, but this is my co-host. I will have all of our socials and where you can find us posted down in the about section if you'd like to follow us on any of our socials. But Little Jacob, we're here, man. It's that time. It's time to crown a new champion. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are back in the Super Bowl, facing the Philadelphia Eagles, man. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the breakdown of the Super Bowl this year?
It's going to come down to the big versus match of Travis Kelce versus Jason Kelce.
Yeah, dude, I'm actually excited to see that.
That's pretty cool, though. They're two brothers going to compete against each other in the Super Bowl. So for those who might not know, Travis Kelce, which is pretty much the best tight end, I think, in my opinion, in the NFL right now, for the Chiefs. And then you have his brother, Jason Kelce, who's the center lineman for the Eagles. And that guy's, I mean, he's just an absolute monster. He's always been super solid for them, Pro Bowl player, caliber player. But yeah, they're facing off in Super Bowl. Should be pretty good. It's interesting, man. This is a lot of good matchups coming up in this game. Like when you look at guys like Pacheco, that rookie running back that they got that's been playing pretty well. And on the other side, you have I don't know, I can't think of his name right now. The Eagles running back. I think it was Sanders.
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, and he's been really solid all year. I think he had 1,000-yard rushing this season.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys like AJ Brown. And Devontae Smith, who had a really stellar season. And on the other side, you got guys like Juju Smith-Schuster who's been making big plays there for them. Travis Kelce in the passing game. I mean, it's going to be really exciting to see. I think it's going to come down to how well that Mahomes is progressing, healed from his injury. And if I feel like the Eagles, a lot of those guys, a couple of guys have been there, a couple of them haven't. Kansas City is more familiar with that territory. It's I think that'll be whoever gets the nerves off first will probably be the first one to jump on them. I feel like Kansas City's not really going to have any nerves because, like I mentioned, they've played in this game before. Also, I think they were talking about whoever gets in the lead first might be the winner. Like, who do you think that would be? And I'll tell you this: the Philadelphia Eagles have played really well. They've pretty much dominated at this point in the playoffs. And near the end of the year, I feel like we haven't seen Philadelphia face as much or the kind of adversity that Kansas City has had to this year, and the teams that they've played and the caliber of those teams that they played, right? Like you think about the Bills, you think about the Chargers. There's a pretty good list that of teams that they play even within their own division, and I feel like the times that we did see the Eagles not dominate and kind of have a rough time was a game like, Washington that they didn't really get out of. There was a really close game that they won in Detroit that they darn near lost. There's a couple of games out there that kind of stick out to you as, times where they faced adversity and it didn't pan out so well for them versus Kansas City, where they seem to excel in those kind of moments. So I think it's going to be a back and forth game at the beginning, maybe a lot of defense, but in the end, I feel like the offense that's more consistent, and I feel like Patrick Mahomes is 100%. That might end up being the Chiefs' offense, but yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be the other way around. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think that what would your game plan be? Going into this game against the offense like the Eagles or like the Chiefs, which is just as dynamic, just different.
First I'm going to back up a second. Okay. Yeah. The Eagles have handled everyone they face in the playoffs. Okay. Yeah. Like the 49ers had a bad stretch there where Purdy went down in the NFC Championship game, and that just kind of like already dictated that game. But the Eagles have handled their competition. They look healthy, except for Jalen Hurst. He's still kind of banged up and stuff, but they look healthy. They look fresh. Yeah. You already talked about the Chiefs being banged up. They got a lot of injuries and stuff right now. but I'm looking at the report. There's really no key injury report for either team. So like the 2 weeks to get prepared for this has helped out a lot. But the Kansas City Chiefs had to beat the Bengals in the AFC Championship, which was obviously the most rigged game ever in NFL history, with everything that happened there. I think there's a couple key players that I don't think are going to completely overtake the game, but I think they will have some very pivotal moments throughout the game that allow their teams to sustain drives and give them an opportunity to get into scoring positions. Okay.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs have a lot of talent on offense. They got Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez. You got Travis Kelce, obviously. You got a lot of weapons, okay? Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, period. He's definitely like the guy until anybody else says differently or proves it differently. So he is a weapon in himself. But what I think, and one area that I think that the Eagles have tended to struggle with, is running backs out of the backfield this year. They have given up some big chunk yardage to running backs out of the backfield. I think their defense is solid. The Kansas City Chiefs have kind of shown all year they can't really run the football. They've struggled with it. But I think Jerick McKinnon is going to be a big key aspect for them in third down situations that will be able to extend drives. Travis Kelce is going to get his. Okay, the Chiefs are going to move the ball on you. Period. Like it's going to happen. But I think that the Eagles' defense is going to do a really good job of not giving up anything deep, and I think their linebackers are athletic enough to help cover and contain Travis Kelce. So he's not going to necessarily rack off those big yards, but in doing that defensively, that's where I think you're going to be giving up and possibly get exposed at times to Jerick McKinnon out of the backfield. That's why I'm saying, like, I think he's going to be a pretty big impact player for the Kansas City Chiefs in extending their drive, because that guy's made plays, like, I think it was like since week 13, man, I picked him up in my fantasy team, and that guy was popping off like every game. And a lot of that stuff came from stuff out of the backfield, quick little screens to him. He's a stud. He's a solid player. He's not a, top 5 running back in the league by any means, but he's definitely a solid 3-down back if you need him. But that's why I think the Eagles are going to get exposed a little bit defensively in this game. But I also feel like the Eagles adjust very well to what your game plan is. They're not a team that will sit and run their game plan, stick with their strategy. I feel like they're very good at adapting to what they're being exposed to. But the problem with that, too, is it's kind of like once you show your hand and the other team sees it, and they're like, okay, well, now we can do this. And then they know, okay, they're going to have to adjust to this or we're going to keep doing it. And when you do adjust to that, now they can kind of dictate how you're going to adjust. Like, are you going to now use your linebackers to cover this guy out of the backfield? Because if that's the case, we're going to go to Kelce. There's a lot of things that are going to dictate that. On the other side of the ball, okay, I think a big key impact player for the Philadelphia Eagles is 2 people. Number one, I think Dallas Goedert is going to have a good game. I think Kansas City did a really good job of containing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They gave up big plays at times and stuff, but I think overall they did a really good job of containing those two. And I see a lot of similarities of running the same kind of format with A.J. Brown and I think it's Devontae Smith. Like those two, I see them kind of running that same format. And with that, if you remember in the Cincinnati game, I said a guy that it could be a really big player and extend drives for Cincinnati is Hayden Hurst, who was their tight end, and he did. There were several series where he would extend the drive for him, and Dallas Goedert is a better tight end than Hayden Hurst. He's just overshadowed by a lot of the other weapons they have on that team. Okay. The second aspect is Jalen Hurst is a very athletic quarterback. The guy has the ability to run and extend the pocket and make plays with his feet. And I don't know that Kansas City has really seen that this year. So I don't know, and it's hard for me to like basically kind of make a base on that and judge off that, because the only person that I could say that was relatively close to that kind of athleticism would be Kyler Murray or Josh Allen. Kyler Murray's obviously a lot more explosive than Josh Allen, but Josh Allen extended a lot of plays with his feet, and he put Kansas City, with his ability to run and extend the pocket, in bad positions, and that's why Buffalo won that first matchup. Other than that, you don't really see anybody else throughout Kansas City's like season that they had to face. So I don't know, man. Like I think both teams are very well equipped to, you know, put points up on the board. But man, I just think with how healthy the Eagles have been, and just like how solid of a team they are. Like the Eagles, to me, when I look at them, their offensive line is really good. They have very good quarterback play. Jalen Hurts does not turn the ball over. Like, he may be hesitant, he may not force the ball down the field, but the guy also doesn't turn the ball over, which is a good thing. They have two solid running backs in Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. So it's like offensively, man, this team is just like, they're solid. But defensively, their defensive line is great. Their linebackers are great. The question that comes into play is that secondary. You know, like, where's that secondary going to match up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? So it's like, I could see the Chiefs putting up points, but I can also see Patrick Mahomes getting a ton of pressure put on him too, because the Bengals were able to get after him as well. So,
I mean,
this is a tough one, man. I think this is the most balanced Super Bowl matchup we've had in a while.
Yeah, and I think for me, one of the things that I've beginning to realize the more I look at the game, the players available, and just how good they've been all season. If people, if you pay attention to this game, I believe that the game's really going to be won in the trenches, because it's going to come down to how well can they can you protect Patrick Mahomes, how much time can you give him, and Patrick Mahomes is going to have like just a note in the back of his head, because you got the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, you got Ndamukong Suh and you got Fletcher Cox on the D line. Then you got this other kid, Son Reddick, who's just been absolutely insane this year. He had a great season.
Dude.
He had a great season with the Carolina last year. He got 11 sacks with them. Year before, it was with the Cardinals. This is his fourth year in the NFL. I mean, he really blew up, 12 and a half sacks. And then this year with the Eagles, man, he's just been a damn menace. He's got 16 sacks in the season. So in the back of Mahomes' head, he's gonna have to know that somebody's gonna get to him, and this guy most likely will get to him several times. So I feel like if they can protect him long enough and give him time, where other teams have been able to, that's going to be their best bet, because I mean, all year, they've been harassing quarterbacks and offensive lines. And this guy Reddick especially has been all over the place. So something's got to give. Someone's gonna break first, right? And so at the end of the day, I feel like it's just gonna be coming down to how well protected Mahomes is, and or how successful can the defense for the Eagles be in the pass rush. Because like you said, if Mahomes is back there, either way, he's gonna find ways to shred you, right?
Yeah.
And it's only gonna be worse the more time you give him, the more protection he gets. So that's where it's really gonna come down to, how much protection Mahomes is gonna get, and if he gets enough protection, most likely going to win the game. I can see Philadelphia scoring a lot of points too, but if it got to the point where like they're just not stopping Mahomes, I don't see the offensive production for Kansas City slowing down before Philadelphia's does.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I got you there.
It's really gonna, it's gonna really depend on some of those factors, man. It's gonna be interesting to see who's not playing first. I kind of feel like even if Kansas City jumps on them really early, they should and they'll be good, but they shouldn't also take it lightly because I kind of feel like the Super Bowl, especially this game, is kind of set up could kind of set you up for a trap game if you get ahead
Mm-hmm.
early because you might feel like, oh well, we got this, right? We whipped their ass a quarter two. So
Well, that's
it's
what
gonna be
happened too in the Cincinnati game. Remember, the Chiefs jumped
yeah.
up like early on them quick, and I was thinking like, "Holy crap, dude! Kansas City's about to blow them out of the water." And then next thing you know,
Joe Burrow
it's
just
like,
starts getting
yeah,
down.
he just started coming right after him and stuff, and the Bengals got the lead. And then it's like, okay, like here we go. This game is about to definitely turn around. All right.
And let's not forget what happened earlier this year with the damn Chargers and the Jags, and
Oh yeah.
like I think I'll never forget how I changed the channel and said I'm not watching the rest of this damn game and changing it back later after a few UFC fights and seeing that the Chargers actually came back and got a win. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like Mahomes is very deserving of winning that MVP last night, and I feel like now he has to go out there and take it a step further and be the Super Bowl MVP, or at least play to that caliber. Even if you don't necessarily get the Super Bowl MVP, because I can still see someone else like Travis Kelce getting it, or someone on the offense who just has a huge game that's not just named Mahomes. But I think one of my buddies at work would always say, you can keep your regular season MVP. I really don't care about a regular season MVP. The MVP that matters is the MVP that plays in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the MVP you want on your team no matter what. And I want to see Mahomes go up there and do that. I think it'd be the best way to back up winning that award last night. I think it was well deserved for him. He's put in a lot of consecutive seasons. I think he got snubbed a couple times in the past. Like I think the year that he won the Super Bowl, I think probably, I don't know if it was Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers.
I think it was Aaron Rodgers, maybe.
Aaron Rodgers was the MVP. He went to another Super Bowl, still wasn't the MVP. I think Josh Allen was the MVP last year, right?
Yeah, I think
MVP
so.
Last year, they ended up beating the Bills. Yeah, so I think it was really deserving that he got that MVP award. But now, he's got to back it up too, because this kind of feels like if you get an MVP, but you go to the Super Bowl and you lose, it kind of, to me, it takes away from that accomplishment because you weren't able to like put the whole thing together. It's kind of like it's incomplete versus those who have gone out there, got the MVP, and followed up with an MVP performance in the Super Bowl, or at least found a way to win. So yeah, this is a big time legacy game for Patrick Mahomes for sure. I know he definitely, if he can get this win and be 2-1 in the Super Bowl, he's on his way to being the next GOAT,
Okay, for both teams, all right.
Yeah.
I ask you a couple questions. For both teams,
all right,
who do you think is going to win MVP? So, like, say if the Chiefs win, who do you think is going to be the MVP player of the Chiefs? If the Eagles win, who do you think is going to be the MVP player for the Eagles?
That's a good question. I mean, if the Eagles were to win, if the Eagles were to win, it would definitely be Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's gonna, at the end of the day, it's gonna be him that has to that's gonna have to make the big plays and the big decisions. It's gonna be on him to protect the football, make sure that if he's running with the ball, he's tucking it away, he's making smart decisions on his passes. So at the end of the day, I think he'd be the one that ended up taking it home because he'd be the one that's getting the important things done and directing and leading his team, because he's the leader of that football team. So I feel confident it would be Jalen Hurts. Now, I know I was saying, Patrick Mahomes probably, I wanted him to follow with it, which is still the case, but I could, for the sake of argument, I could definitely see Travis Kelce having a huge game and being dubbed the MVP of that game. He's had an amazing performance throughout the playoffs thus far. From his catches to what he does after he catches the ball. He's just a great athlete, and I'd like to see him get an award for that if he really does put it on them come Sunday.
Yeah, because he had almost 1,400 yards or something. He's got like almost 1,400 yards this year, and
he's just
12 or 13 touchdowns.
Bigger bodied receiver, dude.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's crazy athletic, man, and he's tough too, dude. Like he's tough. Yeah. That's what I like about him. So, all right, so you're going with Hurst and Travis Kelce. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to go with a big, bold prediction. It's definitely going to be a hot take. I'm going to go for the Chiefs. I'm going to default with Patrick Mahomes because what I think is going to happen is I think Jerick McKinnon, like I already said, is going to have a big game. He's going to have a couple touchdowns, and he should be the MVP. But then I think they'll give it to Mahomes because Mahomes threw it to him. Type deal, you know? So I'm going Jerick McKinnon for the Chiefs.
He's just so explosive this year.
He really is, dude.
He plays, and it's like the dude gets out of there, and if he gets that edge on you, he's just gone. And it's just you don't have like you might be able to catch him, but after the damage is done, like more than 20-yard run or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Well, and I think like this offensive scheme for him is perfect for him because he's an explosive back that likes to be outside the tackles. And before, when teams had him and they were trying to like utilize him running the ball in between the tackles, he's not really that kind of a runner, you know?
Yeah.
So I think this has been a really good like setup for him, and especially too they have Pacheco or whatever his name is, Isaiah Pacheco. Like that guy is a strong runner, so he can take a lot of the like heavy load, and that opens up more stuff for him. As far as the Eagles go, I'm gonna go with two guys. Okay, they're both defensive guys. All right, I'm going with Riddick, or I'm going with the big man himself, Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox.
This dude has been in the league for a while.
Yeah.
He is a force with inside the trenches there. He does not get enough love, in my opinion, for how good of a defensive lineman he is. And I think this is probably going to be his last run / Super Bowl, especially if they win it. I could see him hanging it up. And I think that guy is going to absolutely ball out, especially with Ndamukong Suh next to him. I think he is absolutely going to ball out and create havoc. And the reason I say that is because I think his name's Ranger for the Bengals. He's a big defensive lineman, and he's like mainly their big run stopper kind of guy. He created a lot of havoc for the interior line of the Kansas City Chiefs. And Fletcher Cox is a lot better than him. So that's where I'm putting my vote is Fletcher Cox, and then backing him up is Riddick. I think it's going to be a defensive MVP for the Eagles. I know that's crazy to say. I'm a crazy man, but that's what I'm going with. All right?
It's very possible. I mean, it's been a long time that we've seen I think, man, who was the last defensive player to get Super MVP? Wasn't it Ray Lewis? I don't know if it was anyone else after that. It's not it doesn't happen very often, but it would be nice to see a defensive player get that award.
Didn't what's his name? Von Miller? Did Von Miller get one?
Maybe he did. That's right. He might have in that game against the Panthers, right?
Yeah, I think he got one because Peyton always made a joke about it. Like, thanks for giving me a Super Bowl win because he like carried him or whatever through that game. So I think Von Miller might have been the last one.
Let me see. I just want to, just for the sake of knowing, I want to see if he did. Von Miller, MVP. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Super Bowl 50.
So, what do you think is going to be the final score?
Oh, man.
Because this is tough, dude. I could see it definitely going either way.
The final score?
Yeah. The over-under is projected at... Where was it? I just saw it. 51. The over-under is 51. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Winston, say hi to everybody. Hi.
So the Chiefs win by a field goal. The London scores like 40 to 39, 40 to 38.
So you think the final score is going to be 40 to 38?
I think there'll be some field goals in there, some field goal chunks in there because of the way the defense is going to play.
Yeah, the spread is 1.5 in favor of Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is voted 60%. Like the spread consensus pick is Philadelphia to cover 1.5 at 60% is what Pick Center's showing. But the ESPN analytics have a 53.3 to 46.7 in favor of Kansas City. So they're favoring Kansas City to win the game.
All right, so for the home Super Bowl teams, right? I guess we're talking about like teams that play in the Super Bowl, like they're getting to play at home. So I'm trying to find.
That would be the Eagles, right? Are the Eagles the home team?
Yes, in this case, it would be the Eagles.
Okay.
Oh, man, I'm trying to find Super Bowl curse. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Okay, man, I don't remember the exact number, but basically, what the statistic was talking about, how that in the past, at least for a long time now, Super Bowl teams who host the game haven't had the best record against their opponents over like the span of the last 10 years.
Oh, well, I can tell you, like, I can just go ahead and tell you, bro. The Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. It's the the NFL's rigged. It's 100% rigged. Okay, they gave Kansas City like 8,000 chances on third down against the Bengals. All right, the Super Bowl is in Glendale, Arizona, which the name of the stadium is State Farm. And who is sponsored by State Farm? Patrick Mahomes. You think Patrick Mahomes is going to lose in his own sponsored stadium in front of millions of people? No.
Never.
No.
Oh man.
Did you see that one screenshot thing that came out of NFL scores? So somebody like posted a screenshot of like leaked information by the NFL, and it basically it showed like Kansas City or the Eagles won by 2 points or something.
Yeah.
And stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like the next day there was like a record-setting betting in Vegas. There's like $16 billion bet on the Super Bowl, which to me that's dumb, because if everybody bet that the Eagles are going to win by 2, you're not going to get your money. Like, you're not going to really win any money if everybody's betting that way. But what do you think the score is going to be?
I mean, at the end of the day, if it's not as high scoring, it'd probably come down to like, I think maybe 24-28, 24-27, but I still think Kansas City is going to pull away with it.
I'm going to go... Did like the Eagles all year long, their lowest scoring games have been 10, 22, 25, and then you got 34, 48, 45, 40, 17, 21, 29, 35, 26, 20, 29, 24, 24, 38, 31, 38. I'm going to go Eagles 35, and I'm going to go Kansas City 31. I'm going to go with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. 35-31 Eagles. That's what I'm going with. And I know you're going to be mad. I'm going with the Eagles, man. Okay?
You're going to win?
And I'm going to be sitting over here when they win. I'm going to go, cuckoo. Okay? I'm going to do a little bird sign. But in my honest opinion, okay, this is not from like a fan perspective or anything like that. It's just from like a general observation of watching this guy play ball. Jalen Hurts is, in my opinion, one of the most humble and one of the most like team oriented players that I have seen in a long time. The guy throughout college, okay, like for those who don't know who this guy is, the guy throughout college played at the University of Alabama, a very prestigious school for football. He helped win national championships for Alabama, then got pulled in a national championship game and replaced by another quarterback in the NFL who won that national championship game for them. And instead of that guy transferring out, like all these young kids do now, if they don't get what they want, they transfer to another school. That guy stuck by Alabama, and he tried to earn his spot back. Did not earn his spot back, and when Tua got hurt in the SEC championship game, he came in, won that game for him, and then after that season, he told Coach Saban, "Hey, I'm going to transfer to Oklahoma. I want to be a starting quarterback." Blah blah blah. It was obvious he was not going to do it at Alabama. Went to Oklahoma for a year, starting quarterback, finished in the Heisman. Should have won the Heisman honestly that year. And the guy went to the NFL. He's had multiple coaches under him in the NFL. And I've never heard this guy bitch. I've never heard this guy complain. He's never blamed his teammates. He's always put stuff upon himself. And we talked about this before on previous episodes. You're not guaranteed to always get back to the Super Bowl. And I would really like to see this guy win a Super Bowl. Like from a character perspective and just a human being aspect, I would really like to see him win a Super Bowl because Patrick Mahomes already has one. And I honestly believe Patrick Mahomes is probably going to have 3 or 4 by the time he's done. And I would honestly like to see Jalen Hurts win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I will say, when they got the uniform on and the pads are on and they're on the other side of the field, I don't care for any of the Eagles players, but as a person, outside of football, because there's more than just football, right? So
yeah,
outside of football, yeah, he is. I have noticed that he is a cool guy. His demeanor is very calm, like you said. He's never thrown a teenager under the bus. Very humble, fingers. He carries himself well, and he was a guy you saw out in the store or something. He seemed like a nice guy. He's a cool dude. Hey, what's up, Jalen Hurts? How's it? He's the kind of guy that'd be nice and tell you hello back and just be polite. So he does come off as a great person too. So yeah, I mean, he definitely has gone through a lot of adversity, and like you said, at any point he could have took the easy way out, but he's always seemed to challenge himself, and this is going to be quite a challenge coming up for him tomorrow, Sunday.
Yeah.
Playing against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But either way, good job to him. Kudos to him. That's what more could you ask for a guy at that position, especially one as young as him.
Yeah.
He hasn't even been in the league very long, so he's definitely accomplished a lot. And if he can stay healthy, and I'm sure he'll get to improve, his success will only continue. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game to see because there's a lot of good stories for a lot of the guys that are on both those teams that deserve to be there. Well, they all deserve to be there, but you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot of good backstories for folks on those teams that you want to see them win that ring because they deserve it. As people.
Yeah, and I just I don't know, man. I like good people. Like in sports today, you have the opportunity to make a difference in the world with how much sports are glorified and how much coverage sports get. And there's sometimes, man, you just see people who they always find themselves in the media for the wrong things and doing the wrong things, and they're always creating issues and they're always creating drama, and some of it's by nature so that way they can stay relevant, and so I understand that, but sure. I don't know, I've really watched this guy throughout his college career. I've always thought he was a great player, and he's always shown that he's a great player. And I feel like Philadelphia, I said this multiple times this year, I feel like Philadelphia really said, hey, we're going out and we're getting guys. We got some of the pieces to do it. We need a couple more pieces to win now. Yeah. And they've gone out and doing that. And I would just like to see him being the guy that he is come out with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but if you guys all see this video on YouTube, or you guys follow us on our socials and stuff, be sure to comment on what you think on our socials. Hit us up, tag us on what you think the outcome of the game is going to be, who you think the winners are going to be, and who you think is going to be ending up winning that MVP. So we appreciate you guys always tuning in. We appreciate the support you guys continue to give us. It's been awesome. It's been a blessing. I'm really excited for some of the new adventures and stuff we're going to be going on with some of the different sports coverages. And yeah, man, it's football season's coming to an end. I'm kind of already upset about it, to be honest, but we got XFL coming up too. We'll be covering some of that. We'll cover some of the AFL. A couple of
games here in San Antonio, so I'm excited about that. Hopefully our team's pretty solid, coached by Hines Ward.
Yeah.
Here in the San Antonio Brahmas. We're getting ready. I'm seeing all these posts now. There's like gear and merch going out and around the town. They're giving out free stuff. It's pretty cool, man. So
That's
yeah, I'm
awesome.
hoping that the XFL does well, dude. And that I think there's still a lot of teams that have familiarities before it shut down. Then you got the AFL too. So there's still some
Yeah.
football. It's not going to be NFL football, but thankfully we'll have some stuff to cover the time before it's going to be training camp again.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there'll definitely be moves in the off season and all that stuff that we'll cover
to
too.
talk about for sure.
So next week we'll probably recap the Super Bowl just so you guys know, and then we'll probably start diving into like NBA. We'll start talking briefly about like the NCAA. I'm not even gonna act like I know what's been going on with NCAA basketball this year. I have not followed it really that much like I have in years past. A good example for you guys, if you are basketball lovers, we went out to eat last weekend and I saw Purdue was number 1 in the country, and I said, "What the hell? Purdue's number 1 in the country?" So it kind of shows you how much I've followed it this year. But yeah, we're gonna start covering some different things. There's gonna be some UFC events and stuff coming up too, so we'll definitely be covering a lot of different sports to fill the gap. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Biggest thing. Especially for the Super Bowl, a lot of people like third parties. A lot of people like to have fun. If you do go out and enjoy yourselves, be safe. Okay, like take care of yourselves. Definitely take care of each other. I already called off work for Monday because it's the most called off day of the year, so I'm already off Monday.
It is.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys. We hope y'all are doing well. And like I said, continue to take care of each other. Continue to take care of yourselves, and have a good weekend. We appreciate you. Peace.
Laters.